name's Eve Collins, I'm a costume maker and I worked using the designs to make the costume for Isabel. I had a long chat with the designer and from that we really worked out where we thought the costume should be going and then did some historical research to get the right shape of the skirt and whether the sleeves or the bodice would fit in with period patterns. This will do more of that if it's not backed. Then cut it with a more modern pattern to adapt it to get the basic framework, and from there I moved that over onto the stand to get the accurate shape. The biggest challenge quite early on was the fabric colour. So that was what you kind of originally said. There was a good bit of bleaching and dyeing back and forth before we all got a colour that we were quite happy with. There was lots of details that were put in by the designer. Like the cuff, there were mismatched buttons to kind of make it feel like one had popped off and been replaced with whatever she had kind of nearby. Most of the details are all in the bodice, with this yoke part being stitched into a top stitching. That was to coincide with the design feature the designer wanted, with the rays of the sun. Well, there were pin tucks in the skirt, which then were kind of distressed and pulled apart.
Somehow arrange it so it's just the...
To start off with, there was an exterior kind of bustle piece on the back of the skirt, and that later then got removed. But then during a fitting on a stand without the actress, the costume looked kind of very flat, so we added in a bustle piece on the underneath. But once the costume was then put back on the actress, it was felt the bustle was then throwing out the back too much, so it had to come off again, and we eventually ended up with a fairly clean but flowing silhouette.